Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to be talking about backyard play sets, and we'd like to thank Petra Vivi for liking and sharing the podcast. Some of the first playgrounds for kids were built in Germany in the 1800s to help kids learn how to play. In 1907, President Roosevelt started setting up playgrounds for kids because he believed it would help them stay out of trouble. And kids playing in the street became a crime in 1914 in New York. And they say thousands of kids had to go to court with their parents. Some of the first indoor play areas, Chuck E. Cheese's, 1977. They had the robot show.
Yeah.
Love the robots. McDonald's, the first play area, was built in 1987. An article in Psychology Today found that young rats that were deprived of play grew up emotionally crippled. I don't know how they tested that. Rats that had the most play and the more stimulating environments had the biggest brains. Stuart Brown, he's a researcher from Baylor College of Medicine. He studied 26 murderers and found that most were deprived of play or not allowed to play with other kids as children. And then he went on to study over 6,000 people during his career and found that severely play-deprived kids were the most violent and antisocial. And he actually has a very interesting TED Talk video that you can check out on YouTube. Other studies found that kids that don't get enough playtime rank the highest for unhappiness and aggression.
Nice.
An article I read in Psychology Today said kids need free play and slightly dangerous play to develop properly.
So what, like throwing knives at each other?
Well, I read another article about having a pocket knife when you're, like a young kid. Is actually very good because it teaches discipline. You have to be careful with it. You don't want to cut yourself.
Even the pocket knives.
So the thrill of swinging, of climbing, of jumping off stuff, throwing stuff, hanging, taught you physical and emotional skills. And they say it teaches you also how to manage fear and you learn your limits. So risk in moderation, they say, is fantastic for the brain. And other researchers that followed kids and the amount of play found that kids that didn't get a lot of play, like free play and dangerous play, like on physical equipment, so playground equipment, suffered more anxiety disorders, social isolation, and depression as adults. So part of the questionnaires were, did your parents let you play on the monkey bars or the jungle gym or, like stuff that a lot of parents think it's too dangerous. And these were the kids that had the most depression as adults. So I ran to a couple of the local parks around here, and at one...
Did you have a kid with you?
No, I just ran to the park and I was taking pictures with my phone.
When were you arrested?
No, just chased out. So one of the play sets I saw, part of it had steps going up to a platform and a slide connected to another platform with a tunnel. And then the other platform had a slide, a climbing wall, a ladder to get down on one side, and steps on the other side. So it had a few different ways you can get up on this one platform. The other platform was very wide, had a plastic steering wheel on the railing with an open top. So, just pretty basic. I ran to another park, and the play set had a wide, long stairway up to a platform, a ladder, a slide with a roof. There was a net area for climbing connected to a second platform with a bridge. And that second platform had a rock wall, a slide, and a ladder, and then a roof and a steering wheel. But these are very similar, or even less activities than some of the play sets that you can get for your home. So it's interesting, if you get a backyard play set, you don't have to load up the kids into the car, leave your house. It's easier to watch your kids, and they can go out to this multiple times a day to get physical activity. And then if their friends come over, they've got something else to do. The CDC is now recommending that kids get at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day, including running, jumping, and climbing. If you have small kids, you can start out with small plastic play sets, forts, or sandboxes, and lay out the area so eventually you'd be putting up a full-size play set. You can get a small swing or slide play set and then add a larger play set next to it as your kids grow. The first thing you want to do is plan the best location, so call 811 and have your area marked for underground utilities. And most villages are recommending keeping your equipment 18 to 24 inches away from the marked areas, because if they ever have to work on it, they'll make you move your stuff. If you live in an area with a homeowners association, you should check their covenants.
What's that?
So the covenants, it's like a set of rules that the homeowners have to follow. So you might have restrictions on the height, the color, the aesthetics, the material, the location. So there's a case in Los Angeles. There was a subdivision with 249 homes. The parents bought a $2,300 playset and had it built. It was redwood. It had swings, ladders, a fort, but they were notified that it violated the local covenant. They said it was too tall and too colorful. So they were told they had to pay $200 to form a committee to review the design and then make all these changes. Crazy, huh? So it's good to check first before you buy one. When you're picking a location, you want to plan the overall area needed, especially if you're starting small and plan to expand. And when you look at the specifications of the play sets, many are going to have a diagram with the overall length, the width, the height. Some are going to give you that extra recommended area. So you want a minimum of 6 feet distance between the play set and any structures.
Okay.
And then you don't want anything overhead like trees or utility lines. And then think about the location and the line of sight from windows so you can watch your kids, or if you plan on creating a seating area, think about the whole overall project when you're building this.
Right.
How is the sunlight in the area? You want to plan the position of the activities. So a north-facing slide is going to be cooler. And is there natural shade from trees? And you can adjust where you're placing it, or maybe just spin the place set, and it's going to be more comfortable for your kids.
Right, it's hard to make them go out there and play if it's baking in the sun all day.
Right. When you're comparing the play sets themselves, how many activities do you want? So if you had a small swing and slide play set, that would be 2 activities. You can get 13 or more activities in some of these play sets. What's the family size? Are they going to have kids over? Are you going to have family parties? What different age groups? So how is the layout of the play set? How many different multiple areas would be good to have for your family and your kids? Play sets come in metal and wood primarily for the full-size sets. Small play sets for toddlers are going to come in plastic. The metal play sets can range in price. The best quality sets are going to have heavy-duty galvanized steel with a lifetime guarantee against rust. And the wood play sets are going to come in a variety of wood. Cedar and redwood are naturally insect and rot resistant and aren't treated with chemicals. But wood needs to be routinely stained or treated with sealants to protect the wood. But check the manual. Some manufacturers of pre-stained wood don't recommend additional sealants.
Oh.
You want to compare the weight capacity and also the total number of kids that can use it at one time. Some are going to give it in max occupancy. When comparing large play sets, you want 4x4 lumber for the frame and legs, 4x6 lumber for the swing beam. And with that swing beam hardware, you want the bolts all the way through the beam for the best weight rating and durability. You should also look for heavy-duty or commercial hardware. You want rounded wood edges, sanded wood surfaces, hot-dipped galvanized metal parts. And then lock washers or nuts, or locking nuts is going to prevent it from loosening. The bolt ends you want covered either with rubber or plastic caps. And if they don't have that, you can pick that up at your local hardware store.
Okay.
You can also get Plastidip. It's a spray, so it's Plasti, capital D-I-P. And this will help with corrosion. It also, softens anything that's sticking out. Because you want rounded caps on the threaded bolts. You just don't want something sticking out where it can be snag your skin or snag your clothes.
Right.
Snag.
Are all these features going to be listed on the box so you can compare them when you're looking at these play sets?
Yeah, if they have quality stuff, they're going to let you know.
Okay.
So usually on the box are the specifications. S-hooks should be closed or have a gap no larger than the thickness of a dime.
A dime?
Open end, yes.
How would you know?
Get a dime.
Oh, funny.
Open end hooks should only be on the top link of a swing chain welded links. So you don't want any pinch areas. And a lot of them will say it has a no pinch design. Rubber coated chain doesn't allow water to corrode the metal, and it's going to be more comfortable to hold if it's connected to your swings. You want fully closed connecting links to all your accessories, and no spaces or gaps in the design, 3.5 inches up to 9 inches.
So what does that mean?
You want gaps that are smaller than 3.5 inches or larger than 9 inches. So 3.5 to 9 inches is dangerous. Kids can get their head in there and get caught, and it could be a choking hazard. You also don't want any picket-style features. That can be a choking hazard too.
Picket?
like a picket fence, where it has, the angled 45-degree angles. You don't want anything that ends in a 45-degree angle like that because it could be a choke hazard. And then look at the slide entrance and exit for any parts that could catch clothing or skin. And look at the set that it allows for non-conflicting play zones. So if you're going to have multiple kids playing on this, you don't want everybody congregated in one area. You want each activity area to be offset, so it leads to better play and less crying. You want to look for playset equipment that's CSA certified or CPSC.
Are you just saying letters?
So CSA is the Canadian Standards Association. CPSC is the Consumer Product Safety Commission. ASTM, the American Society of Testing Materials, and APEMA, the International Play Equipment Manufacturers Association. So it should be approved by one of those because they actually analyze the whole set. When you're setting up your play set, you want it on level, solid soil. You don't want to build it on your ground cover or a hard surface. The U.S. Consumer Safety Commission estimates about 50,000 children a year in the U.S. They go to hospitals for injuries on play equipment, and about 80% of that are from falls. And the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons say that number is probably much higher. And since psychologists feel controlled, slightly dangerous play is important for kids, you should have plenty of ground cover below the play set. So the Handbook for Public Playground Safety recommends 6 inches of shredded rubber mulch to protect against a 10-foot fall, 9 inches of sand for a 4-foot fall, 9 inches of pea gravel for a 5-foot fall.
Pea gravel?
Pea gravel.
You're going to put rocks underneath it?
Yeah, we talked about that before in our ground cover episode.
Did I have a problem with that then?
You did too. Yeah, you still do. But they say it's amazing how it shifts and moves. Pea gravel is rocks. All right. 9 inches of EWF for a 7-foot fall.
What is that?
EWF is engineered wood fiber, so this is designed for playground equipment. It looks like regular landscape material, but they use the inside of these wood particles, so it's very fibrous. It's cushioned. It's a lot of different sizes, so it really absorbs impact. It looks like landscape material, like if you have the landscape for your house too.
Right.
And then 9 inches of wood chips for a 10-foot fall. But I would check the product label or the manufacturer's website for specific products and their recommended thicknesses.
Okay.
You want to install landscape borders to keep the ground cover in place. And for wood mulch...
So what, like edging?
Yes. Yeah, just something so it doesn't get kicked away.
So why don't you just say that?
Put edging in. And for wood mulch, you should rake it occasionally and add to the area seasonally as it breaks down.
What was the title of that episode that we did about ground cover?
Play area ground cover.
Fancy.
And we've got a lot of interesting trivia in that one. You should put rubber impact mats under the swings and the slides. It's going to keep the ground cover from getting kicked away. It's also going to add extra cushion.
Especially over the rocks.
Yeah. And then look for mats that meet or exceed the ASTM standards. Once your play set's up, especially if you have wood, you should look at any manufacturer's recommendations. Some want a sealant or transparent stain applied within 90 days, and that's going to give you UV protection and protection against water.
Haven't we done an episode on staining?
Yeah, it was staining and maintaining decks, and actually very similar. So the same concepts would be similar to putting that on the wood play sets.
Okay.
Some routines you should have: check and tighten all the nuts and bolts before each season, and then reseal or stain your wood based on the recommendations in your manual. Check the nuts and bolts 2 times a month, and then oil any moving metal parts. Check your manual, though. I saw a couple of recommendations from these companies to only use vegetable oil,
really?
No petroleum-based products. Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Check all the protective caps and plugs. Check for wear, corrosion, splintering wood. If you have rough wood or splinters, you should sand it smooth. Check the swing seats, ropes, chains, cables, all points of connection, and then change any rusted chain or frayed rope. You want to clean and sand any rust, prime it and paint it. Check your ground cover for the depth and compaction, and then add as needed or fluff it up with a rake. In cold climates with snowfall, you want to remove fabric or tarp canopies, remove swing belts and other soft plastic accessories, and then check your recommendations also. If you live in an area that gets freezing temperatures, some of the parts should be removed for the off-season.
Okay. How long do they last?
So most play sets should last 7 to 10 years, but if it's well maintained, it could last longer. The full-size play sets I looked at recommended the age group either 3 to 10. Some others were saying 3 to 11.
How often should you clean it?
So I would say the beginning of every season, or if you
And then like daily?
if you have really dirty kids. So for the wood, you can use a pressure washer on it. For the slides and plastic parts, you can get a 5-gallon bucket of warm water and mild dish soap.
In the 5-gallon buckets.
You know what book I saw
It's almost as bad as a pocket knife.
was the 5-gallon bucket book by Chris Peterson. He has over 60 ideas for using 5-gallon buckets, so I'd have more things to say in the podcast. But you can use some mild soaps and water. So Better Life has plant-based cleaners. Their all-purpose cleaner uses corn and coconut oil as the cleaner. Shabby Chick is SHABBYCHICK. They have an all-purpose cleaner that uses lemongrass and tea tree oil. And then Ecos, it's ECOS. They have an all-purpose natural cleaner that's safe for kids and pets. You can also use those plant-based cleaners in the corners of your place set to keep wasps away. So wasps don't like spearmint, citronella, eucalyptus, thyme, clove oil, and lemongrass oil. And then one blogger I was reading, so he talks about playground equipment. He said what he uses is boiled chili peppers. He strains it, he puts the liquid into a spray bottle, and then he sprays it into all the corners of the play set.
Okay, and...
Yeah, I'm thinking hot chili peppers and kids probably aren't the best combination. So I would use wasp traps set away from the equipment in the backyard to draw wasps away before they build nests in the early spring, and then in late fall when they're getting ready to, they're searching for sweet-smelling food in late fall, and that's when they're most aggressive, is early spring and late fall. Some top-rated traps, Rescue, RESCUE, and then it has an exclamation point. Pick, PIC, Terro, TERRO, and Aspetech. It's ASPECTEK, and I haven't seen their wasp traps before, but they've got a wide group of products. And then in the UK, there's a superstition that if you kill the first wasp you see in the season, you're going to have good luck for a month.
Why?
I don't know. It's cool to make up stuff, isn't it?
Yes.
If you plan on starting out with a small play set and have kids 1 to 5 years old, you can get some great play sets from Step 2 and Little Tykes. So Step 2 is STEP and then just the number 2. And then Little Tykes is Little and then TIKES. And they have plastic slides and playhouses. The Simplay 3 company, it's SIMPLAY and the number 3. They have sandboxes and water play sets, so it's all plastic. The sandboxes come with lids. One of them looks like a caterpillar. And then Little Tykes has one that's turtle-shaped with a lid. Step 2 has the Krabby sandbox, and it has a lid. And psychologists are saying that sand play helps build fine motor skills, and playing in a sandbox with other kids, because you have limited space and toys, it actually helps develop social skills, problem solving, sharing, and how to communicate ideas.
Wow, exciting.
Sand. When you're looking at the full-size play sets, some come with just the accessories and the instructions,
Really?
and then you have to purchase your own lumber and cut it to size. Many of these are called build it yourself.
So you should know this. This is important, because if you're comparing prices.
Right, absolutely. Some that are called ready to assemble or
Way to bury the lead, Jason.
ready to assemble kits generally come with all the parts and all the lumber pre-cut to the sizes you need. So it's in a very big box. So if you're getting this at a home center, you're going to probably have it delivered to your house, or you're going to rent a truck. And then factory built, you can have the main structure pre-built. Then the slide, the stairs, the swing beam, and any of the support legs are off of it, and those have to be attached. So if you're buying this online, many companies send it this way.
Okay.
You're going to pay more for the factory built, but it's going to save you a lot of time. You want to think about the trade-off for time and money With the build-it-yourself kits, you're going to need saws, tape measure, a place to cut from, like sawhorses, and there can be a lot of parts. I read an article in the Chicago Tribune where the author bought a basic Gorilla playset. The manual was 69 pages long, and it took him 30 hours over a period of 7 days to build.
Wow.
So it takes a while. So one large playset I built for my kids.
You're still working on it?
It took about 2 full days to build it. I've got some top-rated full-size playsets.
Okay.
Gorilla, Backyard Discovery, Swing and Slide, and the N is just an N, so it's swing dash, just the N dash slide. Lifetime Products, Playstar, it's Playstar, and Heartland, Heartland.
Do you have anything else to add?
You should plan the overall space you're going to need and then call 811 to mark any underground utilities. Look for 4x4 lumber for the frame and legs, 4x6 for the swing beam. You want through bolt construction, heavy-duty brackets, bolts, and hardware, and get as many different activities as you can afford in the area you have available. Figure out how many kids will potentially be playing on the equipment and look for the max occupancy.
Let's wrap this up.
We appreciate all the likes we've been getting on CastBox for our episodes.
People actually like us?
A few, a handful. And then we are almost ready for book 5. A couple of the chapters, we're going to have one chapter on fire prevention, and one chapter is going to be a washing machine buying guide.
Is this news to you?
Looks pretty cool. Cindy's doing a nice job. I've been reading over her stuff. I haven't been that helpful on this one.
Again.
You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, CastBox, Player FM, or your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our books, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow Cindy on Twitter at FixItCohost.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.